Hello, my name is Frida Eriksson and this is Sabina Edelman and Maria Axelsson. We've been looking into a role model network or networks as a way of creating change. And we see it as a systematic bottom-up approach in parallel to the normal top-down approach. We've been told that for every story in India, there's also an opposite one being told. So when looking into waste management, for instance, these are the two parallel realities. So we would like to focus on the desirable story in this presentation, and also in our suggestion and our thinking. And the overall aim for this course is, of course, to explore an alternative urban development with urban qualities, as Henrietta was talking about. But our project is about aiming or addressing the most urgent matters, as we understood, is waste management and transportation. We've been around Goa, mainly around Panjim, and meeting people and visiting places. And what we're seeing is lots of potentials that we can build from. And especially a large group of people being very engaged in various issues and traveling around, touring around, talking about these important issues. And also lots of people showing up. This is a garbage meeting about waste management outside of Panjim. And it's more than 100 people there. So there is a will for these changes. And also there's a flexible transport system where you have these motorbike or motorcycle taxi, apart from various other transport means. It looks very strange here. We also seen a very innovative use or recycling of materials, like this nursery school, where they use bottles to make a whole scene and auditorium on the roof of this building. We also seen people very engaged within their own community, and also driving court cases in order for them to receive their rights. And we've seen urban qualities in rural or urban areas. This is an art gallery and an art center, where also lots of intellectual debates are going on. There's also a tradition in using the waterways for transportation and other things. We also see that there is some kind of transparency built into the architecture here, that these verandas or porches is a meeting place, is where information could be spread, and also, the next slide, that there are pathways between the buildings and the settlements, so that people can interact on a ground level in a very good way. And these are some things from our previous work, this one, which actually is a symbol of this kind of urban feature being intertwined into the rural landscape. And also we see that there's a spread of this engagement. It's not centered to Panjim or centralized. And also the road network is good. It's well distributed. So there is a potential in actually not just centralizing it, but also there are structures to build on in the rural areas, and so on. Much more than this. We also been told that Goa should be way beyond the rest of India. So why isn't this happening? Why? Why isn't this the case in every household? This fancy building or villa how come that this family, with all these modern facilities and so on, how come that they still go across the road and throw their trash on the field opposite to their house? And how come that the planning still is in a very traditional, kind of following this really rational, traditional one-way thinking, rather than actually exploring other possibilities, especially within transport, as we've been looking into? And how come that this valuable load still runs through villages, which is totally depleted by this pollution and also the dust and everything coming with this heavy transport being transported on those roads? And also, how come that this is the vehicle kind of distribution situation today? Why don't people use the public transport more? So, what actually triggers change? I mean, that's the kind of issue we've been digging into and trying to understand, and especially sort of in this context. And I mean, what we're trying to look at is some kind of on a grassroots level, and there you can also find this potential, because people influence people. It's not the state or the church that decide or that we listen to. It's people like us. So we see that as a possibility of actually trying to see a bottom-up or create a bottom-up approach. So we suggest that, I mean, this is just an idea that we've thrown in the air, so it's not worked out at all. So please respond to this afterwards. We'd like to identify the early adopters and also the grasstops. And this is kind of some kind of process that we could see maybe would create change. We'd like to identify role model villages. And instead of targeting everyone at all times, we see that the enthusiastic people, they're already saved. So maybe there should be somewhere in between where the focus should be. And we understood that certain villages within certain talukas that had responded to the regional plan, they have responded very well. So maybe we could identify those villages in terms of that they have an enthusiastic panchayat, or a panchayat that is open to the local people's opinions, and also that there is local activists in those villages, and also a strong comunidad. So if we identify these villages, maybe we could enable some sort of interaction between them, so that they could be stronger together. And by doing that, by being sort of trying to address those important issues, this will naturally attract other villages, and also the buzz will start. And there will be ambassadors in those villages talking for these issues. And also it's also some kind of competition idea that you want to be the best village, of course, and part of this. And which would, eventually enable further connection with other kind of clusters of villages as well, or role model villages. And we see this as a combination of a kind of resilient system as well, where you have these links between different clusters, but also on a micro level, it's decentralized networks that are working together with certain issues of concern. Yeah, that will, this will then maybe in a few years, in some years, be the standard in terms of those waste management and transport issue transportation issues, but it could also be other things that we've been talking about before: sewage, agriculture, institutions of knowledge that would sort of start from there. Yeah. Would you like to see?
This is an example of a situation where villages that are actually exploited in different ways could, and they are both right now a critical issue. So yeah, you can see a cluster of smaller villages which are in the bigger circle, and you have Ponda in the smaller circle, and they are both affected by this huge road which is planned to connect, or to be sort of a second north-south road going from here to Mapsa. And they are affected in different ways, but maybe they could create the situation or a transport system as they want it to look like, or as they need it. Because as it is now, the smaller villages are used in the regional plan as an objective to build this huge road, so that they are connected to the rest of the city or of the region.
Yeah, basically we see this as a way of influencing power, of course, and being part of and also being able to influence in both directions. So by introducing these role model villages, they could actually serve as a role model, yeah, for both upwards and downwards. We've been looking into different channels for communication, of course. There are already a number of different ways of communicating or discussing issues of concern. And also, there are some existing and proposed tools that this will be incorporated, of course, in this idea. But we see that this might lead to future possibilities beyond what's already existing and proposed. So we see this as from degrading image to inspiring identity. And there are seeds of this is a seed of idea, but with lots of questions that we'd like to follow up with you and discuss further on. Of course, is this role model approach worth investigating at all? I don't know. And how would that be received by authorities? Could it actually be a parallel model for planning? And where can we find the initial investments? Yeah, that's it.